Here we go, Alex. You know what I'm looking forward to more than anything as I get older, Alex?
What's that?
Sleep. I just really enjoy sleep. Like the thought of going to bed later tonight, like just fills me with joy. But anyway,
I can't wait for like 2 or 3 years from now where you hit like a midlife crisis and you're like, I discovered day raves. They're the best.
yes. All right. Hello and welcome to Deep Cuts the Game, the movie trivia podcast where I give my three players three different movies and they try to come up with the most random, obscure, or minor actors from those films. The deeper the cut, the more points they get. I'm your host, Jeff Penn, and with me as always, the jughead to my Archie, Alex Young. Welcome to the show, Alex.
It's so weird that you reference Archie for the first time ever in our friendship, but because we were talking about Archie comics at work today.
You were?
That's so weird. Yes. Mostly because I've never read them, because why would I?
It was
so surprised that I haven't read Archie, and I'm like, I'm not 109.
I mean, it's weird that they still sell them.
Yeah.
Like, when you go into like a grocery store, they're on the end of the rack, kind of next to like the Reader's Digest.
Is that even still in production, Reader's
Digest? I don't know. I said that with and then I was like, maybe there isn't
that
Reader's
shut
Digest.
Down.
But they definitely have like the Archie Digest that you can get. That's got like
they just combined Reader's Digest and Archie together. Yeah. Like no one would know the difference.
Yeah. At the end, there's some recipes and then like work jokes or something. Like
the first half's for the kids, the second half's for Nana. Everybody just buys it for $9. It's fine.
What's going on, Mr. Young?
Not much, Jeff. We're just talking a lot about Archie, I guess, and also my cat was being distracting. So. As you know, I'm a big fan of physical media. Ryan, before we start, we were talking a little bit about that as well. But I also like Hoopla. Love Hoopla. The one from the library. Everybody support your local library. It's the best. And they just added, at least the Toronto one, and I know it's on Tubi. We all love Tubi. You can also check out this movie on Tubi. But they added one of my favorite movies that I kind of thought was lost to obscurity after it left Mubi, because there's too many streaming services that rhyme, like 2 or 3 years ago. I'm going to bury the lead on the title for a bit, but it came out in 1985. It's Japanese, and it was somewhat inspired by like the MTV culture of the time. And it is, I'm going to say, a hard-hitting drama that does your like classic story of a record producer grabs these two guys and kind of like thrusts them into stardom and basically like kind of manipulates their career to his own devices. One of them gets heavily into drugs, the other does not, and it sort of goes in two different directions. But it's not a hard-hitting drama at all. It's a super weird comedy musical, and it's called The Legend of the Stardust Brothers. And if nobody has seen it, I feel like Ryan has. This movie rules. It makes little to no sense. The soundtrack is a non-stop banger. And I found out when I was looking it up, because I'm like, tell me more about this, because I do have the soundtrack on vinyl, because you cannot get it streaming anywhere, but they're still pressing LPs of it, because it's awesome. The music was written first. The entire soundtrack was written for a movie that didn't exist, and it was inspired by Rocky Horror and Phantom of the Paradise. And then they're like, oh, you know what? Let's make this a movie. So they did it like backwards.
Backwards?
Which makes a lot of sense, because at one point there's like ghosts in this movie. There's an animated sequence. It is such nonsense, but everybody should see it. If you're listening to this episode, pause it. Go watch Stardust Brothers. Come back, then continue, because it rules.
You are one of 4 other people besides myself I've ever heard reference this film, and I'm
so happy you've seen it. Did you like it? Did you enjoy that it's in bananas nonsense?
I like it so much. I have 2 different copies of it on Blu-ray from 2 different countries because it's that good.
Amazing. It's the only right answer.
I feel like I'm gonna watch this and I will text Alex the next day and just be like, God, you suck at recommendations.
Yeah, but girl, you hate musicals, though. You
what's
like
the title again?
The Stardust
Brothers. The Legend. No,
the
Jeffrey.
Legend.
It's the Legend of the Stardust Brothers, because they are legendary.
Alex, you were right. I currently like 2 musicals that I can think of. One being Hairspray.
Okay.
The more recent one.
Yep. That's a great answer, because that's awesome.
And the second is Singing in the Rain.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, I watched. I was like, oh, this is actually good. Like I enjoy this one. It's funny. It's not just a musical. It's actually a funny movie that kind of makes fun of like films from the the silent era and stuff like that. So
that baffles me that you don't like musicals though, because anything if I find out a movie is a musical, it's there you go.
I had to look it up. I was like, wait a minute, I need to
got it. You got it. If it's a musical that like starts at an 8 out of 10 for me, and then it can go down from there, but like there is still wiggle room to still knock my socks off. But if somebody starts singing, and if I didn't know it was a musical, this is the best day of my life.
I mean, I did like the Buffy episode where they sang everything. Like that was fine, but
end of list, I guess, for Jeff.
Yeah. Well, we've heard from them a little bit, so why don't we get our two guests in with us, Alex? First up, let's welcome back a player from episode 23 in season 1. He finished a very close second place to you, Mr. Young, in a game that featured some top flight creature features. I believe we did Tremors, Jurassic Park, and The Mist, which not many people got The Mist, but that's all right. The host of the very fun podcast, Nickflix, Nick Mear, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Nick, how are you doing, man?
Good, man. Good. I just I'm excited to be on, and I tried finding out what movies.
You almost got me.
I thought I might. I'm like, I'm not going to email him until the day of and be like, hey, by the way, what movies we covered today?
Yeah. Like I sent him hey, just making sure we're good for tonight, and he's like, yeah, all good. And then I got a secondary email that just said, what are the movies? And I was like, does he forget that I don't tell them?
No, I thought maybe he'd be like, oh, well, it's this, and at least send me one, and then be like,
scam.
I hit send.
Scam.
I tried to scam you. My bad.
I mean, I think last time
I had
you
to beat
were
Alex,
on,
so
I think you had Jurassic Park down as like one of your favorite movies.
You asked me you're like, just name me 3 movies you like. So I was like, this, and this, and you're like, okay, Jurassic Park is one of them. I'm like,
yeah, I didn't. Yeah, you didn't know that going in, but I did take Jurassic Park.
But you took Jurassic Park, so I was like, maybe he'll slip up and say something. But I tried. Got it. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So,
so what's coming up on Nickflix?
I just dropped an episode about we did movie scores and the scenes specifically. So not the whole score, but like specific scenes with the score. So that was a lot of fun.
Okay,
and really hard because like I left off a lot of movies that I was like, I might have to make this like a 2-3 parter because there's like plenty of horror movies I forgot to put in and other genres where I'm like, it's just you start to think of your favorite ones and not a soundtrack. Like it has to be like an actual score. So it was really fun.
Yeah, Alex is more of a score guy than I am, aren't you, Alex?
I love a good score. Yeah, got a bunch of those on vinyl too. Put them on in the background, get some work done. If you need to clean the house, put on the Challenger soundtrack. You'll be done in 11 minutes. It's awesome.
I will admit, though, at a far too young of age, I did own on CD, but I did have the score for Blade Runner, like the Vangelis Blade Runner. Like, I mean, it's very good, but it's a weird thing to listen to when you're like 16 years old.
Atmospheric synth.
Yeah, I'm just like in my bedroom with,
hey, ladies, you want to listen to the score of Blade Runner?
Yeah. Pulling up in my parents' Honda Accord with the sunroof open. Well, so let's bring in our second guest as well. Next up is Ryan. Is it Verrill? Can I go? Is it Verrill?
Is correct, yeah.
Verrill, host of the Disconnected podcast and the YouTube channel, part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, as well as the writer behind The Physical Media Advocate, a monthly zine that will bring you back to the underground days of the 80s and 90s. Ryan, thanks so much for joining us. You've got, when I asked you what you are about, you sent me so many things. So
I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. It's like, normally it's like, I'm like, I have a podcast, but you have like a podcast, you have the YouTube thing, you've got zines, you're doing like things for like Blu-ray and DVD releases. So pick your poison today. What do you want to tell us about?
Well, we'll go with the 2 biggest things probably. Yeah, the magazine. I print a magazine called The Physical Media Advocate, which highlights writers from literally all over the world. We cover classic film and current physical media releases. There's like list of release dates. There's customized word searches and crossword puzzles that I make for everybody. I get exclusive interviews with filmmakers, and customized art on every single issue. That's freaking amazing, I think. But the biggest thing is you can buy it throughout the entire world. Like, I never thought I'd in 2025 be printing a magazine, let alone I have people in Japan telling me they're purchasing it, and it's for sale in a bunch of stores in the US and even one in Canada for you all.
What store in Canada?
Rough Cut Video over in Calgary.
Oh, right on. That's very cool.
I'm working on a couple places in Toronto, so maybe we can catch up about that soon.
Oh, great.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you Alex is all about supporting local. Not me though. I'll just buy from whoever. Fuck the little guy. No, no, that's awesome. Yeah. And you also do like stuff for like DVD like releases and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that.
So me and my writing partner, we started a company called Someone's Favorite Productions, and we do audio commentaries, visual essays, interviews. I'm producing releases for companies all over the world. I'm on the verge of pretty much, if you're holding a disc, I've done pretty much every part of it that you're touching, and went into making that at some point. It's getting a little crazy, all while having 2 kids and a full-time job, and I don't sleep, I guess.
No, that's awesome, man. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, I was trying to think because I read that you were doing like commentaries on DVDs, and I was like, imagine if someone asked Alex and I to do a commentary, and we'd just be like, "Oh, that's neat." And, oh, I think he's gonna kill that guy now, Alex. And,
we just do Velocipaster and be like, was that an intentional thing, or did they actually forget the effects? Either way, it's hilarious, and I loved it. End of commentary.
Oh, that would be fun. Well, we have. I think it's a really good show. I think we have like an exciting bunch of movies for you 3 to play tonight.
Boy, not to toot your own horn there, Jeff. Jesus Christ.
I'm sure glad you didn't say like,
I
nailed
this
list
it.
of movies. So
no, I don't have a full-time job, so I have a lot of time to like just look at movies and go, "Oh, that's interesting." And like even today, like I maybe not for any of these movies, but the ones I'm working on, a future one, like there was something I read and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like it blew my mind. And I can't talk about it because it is for a future episode. So, Alex, I will tell you hopefully tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
But for tonight, I've got 3 movies for you. But first, we need to decide who is going to go first, second, and third. So, I need you 3 to try to figure out what movie am I thinking of. And Nick, I just thought of this movie. So, I'm going to give you the same hint that these 2 actually kind of gave me. Ryan held up a copy of the movie The Cell. Trying to get me to think of it. It's not The Cell, okay? But it made me think of a movie, which maybe has something to do with The Cell, maybe doesn't. But that's all I can tell you. So, Nick, I'm going to let you go first. What movie am I thinking of?
Just gonna pull a random on the phone booth.
Oh, the Colin Farrell?
Yeah, because you said cell, then I'm like, maybe he means like cell phone. I know that's not what The Cell's about, but I'm like, I don't know, maybe he just saw the word cell, thought of cell phone.
And it's not the terrible John Cusack, Samuel Jackson.
We watched that.
Yeah, the Cell movie.
Yeah.
I think it was a Stephen King story, wasn't it?
The book's not bad.
All right, Ryan, what movie am I thinking of?
I think when being presented with Jennifer Lopez, you recalled all of your wonderful memories of Made in Manhattan.
A great movie and a great joke in a Flight of the Conchords song.
That's right. Alex, you've got a chance to win this one here because nobody's close yet. So what movie am I thinking of?
Are you thinking of Full Metal Jacket?
No. And why? Why that, Alex?
I'll tell you why. Because I haven't seen The Cell. I'm familiar with its existence, but in my head, D'Onofrio is in The Cell. Is he?
He is. Yeah,
okay. And he's also in Full Metal Jacket, which I'm watching the Vietnam documentary on Apple TV Plus. So that's how that all connected in my brain. That's how my brain works. You're welcome.
Fair enough. D'Onofrio's great in both of those movies. He's also great in Adventures in Babysitting. And I'll stop right there.
Yeah.
It's Thor, yeah. So the movie I was thinking of doesn't star any of those people, but it does star one of J-Lo's exes or currents. I don't know where she is in her relationships, but it's the Ben Affleck movie Glory Days. Which was like after Dazed and Confused, I think. And he did like another stoner comedy with like a bunch of people. Like it's actually probably got a very deep cast, but unfortunately nobody's ever watched the movie.
Family Guy has 2 great Ben Affleck bits about preparing for a role where he's like, I got to play Henry VIII. Hello. Got it. And then him going when Matt Damon finishes the script for Good Will Hunting and Ben's sitting there on the couch smoking pot. And he goes, hey, you going to put my name on that? He goes, well, I wrote it. He goes, well, I helped. He goes, really, pitch me a line. And then he farts. And that's like it.
I don't know.
Get points for that deep cut joke. Boom. There you go.
You know what? I'm gonna go with Ryan because at least his is a comedy, I guess. And it does have J-Lo in it, which is the closest connection to Ben Affleck. So Ryan, where would you like to go first, second, or third?
I'm gonna go second.
It's a smart call.
I'll let Alex have his royal third, I bet.
Oh, thanks. Unless Nick
snakes
it out from under me, which
I did that the first time.
You know what? I'm gonna go with Nick because I always
I'll go third then.
I always go with our guest if given the opportunity. So it's sorry, Alex.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Alex in the number 1 spot. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you our 3 movies.
All right.
And I will let you know this. I picked these 3 movies before I went and looked at what movies we had done for Nick. That's all I'm gonna say. So.
The hell does that mean?
It just means
It got so ominous for a moment.
No.
In the mist.
No, so and Ryan had also said one of his favorite movies was Jurassic Park. But I was like, well, I can't do Jurassic Park. I already did Jurassic Park. So it is.
If only there were 5 of those movies.
I was going to say it's the 1997 sequel, Jurassic Park: The Lost World, which we had a guest on recently who said that the second installment of films is almost always better. I would beg to differ. Based on this movie alone, this is, I don't know if it's Steven Spielberg's worst movie.
It's not.
Oh, it's not.
I actually enjoy this movie, but
I do too. It was also the second movie I ever saw in the theater.
Yeah. So, okay, so you saw it when you were like...
But let me say, if we're playing this game, BFG might be his worst movie. But
okay.
Anyway.
I'm just going to... Okay, I'll give you the other movies, and then we can talk about it some
So
more.
Lost World.
Lost World from 97. Then, from 1998, I'm surprised we have not done this movie before, Alex. The Big Lebowski.
Oh, wow.
And then, just for me, because I love this movie, it's from 1995. Has really not a whole lot to do with these other 2 films. Billy Madison.
Ah, you do love that movie.
So, and I will tell you this, there is 1, 2, 3, 4 people that appear in more than 1 film that I've listed for you today. Don't say anything. And while you're writing down some names and try to think of people, let's hear a word from our sponsors. Movie buffs and collectors, this one's for you. MoviePosters.com offers an incredible selection of posters for every taste, from obscure indies to your blockbuster favorites.
Hey, Jeff, do they have any Jay Baruchel posters?
Well, I do know they've got How to Train Your Dragon.
And Jeff, have they any Sean Connery motion pictures?
Yeah, Alex. Zardoz?
And do they have any posters for Christopher Walken movies?
Yes, Alex, they do.
Go to movieposters.com and use promo code DEEPCUTS15 to get 15% off your next purchase. This is my real voice.
Yeah, so I watched Jurassic Park: The Lost World. Things that are just terrible about that movie. He lets a Tyrannosaurus Rex eat a dog. Like someone's family pet. Like, never kill the dog.
Who is he? Steven Spielberg?
I'm assuming, like...
It's a dinosaur. You can't tell it what to do, man.
And it's on camera.
Didn't he?
It's not... No, and then there's one part where there's just a dad running down the street with, like, ice cream, and he's trying to get into, like, a building, and the door's locked, and the Tyrannosaurus... And I was like, did we need to see this dad get eaten? Like, there's so many villains and awful people that survive the film, but, like, this dad and a dog get eaten for no reason. Like, you never kill the dog.
That's life, baby.
Never.
No, you never kill the cat. Dogs can go fuck themselves.
And it's the worst part because the Tyrannosaurus is like got the dog house hanging out of its mouth with like a chain. And we're like, really? You ate the dog? Like, that's just... And then, okay, I know it's based on a novel. I don't know. I haven't read the novel to see if it matches up. But like, so...
I have, and I'll tell you, it's
not? Okay, so...
Very... Well...
Even the first one is very off.
Very different. Yeah, and I know it did... Yeah,
but rightfully so, because the first one's such a long book. I don't think they
Right.
would have been able to adapt it like verb. That's why really quick, not to get on a soapbox, I would love them to do like a 6-part miniseries of the book Jurassic Park, like exactly like the book, because it would be terrifying. But anyway, sorry.
So in the movie, it kind of ends with the ship crashing into the harbor in San Diego.
Yeah.
Please note, the only dinosaurs that are on the ship are a Tyrannosaurus Rex and its baby. But somehow this Tyrannosaurus Rex has been able to get out of the hull that it was in with this big lid and kill everyone on the ship, including people who were in like the cabin steering the boat, to the point where their arms are still on the steering wheel, but there's no damage to any doors or windows. So I don't know how the...
I'll say this, Jeff. As much as I do love this movie, you're right, and that has always bugged me. I assumed it was the baby?
No. Yeah, no, the baby's still down in the bottom, and the baby's not
tired from the murder.
And then, like, they go out, and the doors won't close properly, but there's an arm still on it, like, trying to hit the button, and the guy's like, oh, and he picks it up and opens it, and I'm like, wait, so the dinosaur came out, ate everyone, then went back down into the hull of the ship and closed the doors behind itself? This is stupid. That's why
it's not a smart movie. I'll admit that, but I still like a lot of it though. Like, especially early on.
You were also the perfect age to see it, though, Alex.
Yeah, man,
and I'm assuming
I was 8.
Nick,
that movie was designed for me.
Yeah, that's why you like Godzilla so much.
Yeah, came out the year after. It was designed for me.
We've got 3 movies: Jurassic Park, Lost World, The Big Lebowski, and Billy Madison. We have our 3 players: Alex, Ryan, and Nick. Alex Young, you've been tasked with going first. What is your deepest of deep cuts?
So I'll tell you, Jeff, it's not my deepest, but it is one of the crossovers, so I want to take it off the board.
Sure.
Because I feel like it's a good start. So Peter Stormare is in the Lost
Stormare.
World. He gets killed by the little ones, and he's also in The Big Lebowski.
He is. So he is 6 points for The Lost World, and he is 9 points for The Big Lebowski.
Great.
So that is a solid 15 points, Alex.
It's a good opener. I'll take it. Because I'm like super worried about Ryan. After you did the intro and he's talking about all of his stuff, I'm like, I'm fucked. This guy's going to know everything about everything.
I'm also worried about getting the lowest score ever, but I'm going to try to beat that.
No, I don't think so. No, I think you're going to be okay. We'll find out right now, Ryan.
Well,
you can put yourself, ahead of the lowest score with one good deep cut right now.
It's not the deepest cut, but I definitely want to take off one of the ones that crosses over as well, just to get it off the board. And it'll be deeper for Lost World. I'm going to go with Julianne Moore.
It is, yes. So she's not a ton in the Lost. She's more for the Big Lebowski, right? Like more points. So she's 7 points for the Big Lebowski, and she is 2 points for the Jurassic Park Lost World.
Fair enough. She's like practically the star.
Yes. Who's the star, Alex? Say it.
Well, Jeff.
So 9 points.
Come on, that was such a good joke. That was such a good joke. Thank you, Ryan.
Sorry, what was the joke?
I answered it correctly.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Well,
spoilers.
Since I get a pick, I might as well go with the other obvious crossover, and that is Steve Buscemi.
It is, who appears in The Big Lebowski as, I cannot remember his name for whatever reason. And yes, he is Donnie in Billy Madison, who is got his little board of the people he needs to kill.
Yeah.
Right? And he's just like putting
lipstick on that guy.
Yeah. And then at the end he shoots the villain in the ass. And what's the song that is playing?
It's ELO's telephone line when he calls him. I love ELO. And
I was gonna say
I should get a point for that deep cut of what song was playing when he calls him.
You know what? I'm gonna put it down as a tiebreaker if you need it. Okay, Nick. If we somehow end up in a tie, I'll put a little 1 down here at the next. 10 points for Billy Madison, and 3 points for the Big Lebowski. Yeah, Donnie in the Big Lebowski, right? That's his name. Donnie.
Yeah, Donnie. Yeah, because he's like, Donnie, you're out of your element. Or just shut the fuck up, Donnie.
I am the walrus.
Yeah,
I am the walrus.
Yeah, that's why I can't believe we haven't done this movie. Like, it's so good. It's so deep. All right, Nick, you get a second deep cut.
All right, I'm gonna go with one of my favorite, character actors of sorts, and that's Richard Schiff from The Lost World. With
that guy gets done so dirty in that movie.
He does, but at least his death, he's not stupid. He's just unfortunate. The worst are the deaths where they go, maybe I shouldn't do this, and then they get killed. He's like trying to save them.
Yeah,
and
he does.
He saves them.
And then ripped in half.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the two,
I can't tell if that death is painful or quick because they rip
So
him in
painful.
half within like 3 seconds, but it is like they still have to tear at him, and it's like
pretty brutal.
And
Yeah,
it is
it's brutal.
stem to sternum. It's like not the way you want to do it. You
And
want
then,
the opposite.
but then for some reason on IMDb, he was going. They were trying to get him back. At some point, he was attached to the newest Jurassic Park movie, and I'm like, for
How?
what? Is his ghost gonna show up and be like, guys, don't try to save someone? Like, what was he gonna do? Like, so for like
It's just
3
his left
weeks,
half.
IMDb had him listed as like rumored to be in the movie, and I'm like, why is Richard Schiff rumored to be in a Jurassic Park movie? He clearly gets killed, and then it was like, oh, he's gonna do they're gonna use his voice in the Lego Jurassic Park, and I'm like, are they gonna rip him in half in that game too? Because at least it's a
click 'em
Lego
back
piece,
together,
it's
so
just
it's
click
fine.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
because Alex, he was just in our movie we did last week. He's in Speed as the train driver that Dennis Hopper shoots at the end of the film. So yeah, Richard Schiff, which I was like, I didn't know who this guy was really until The West Wing, but
Mhm.
But he's in so many movies in the 90s.
Oh,
He
yeah,
just
yeah,
popped up
tons.
in a lot of random stuff. So I always just liked him. So yeah, I just felt bad for him. Like poor Eddie, he gets done very dirty in that movie.
very dirty in that movie. Ryan, we're back to see.
Oh, how many-
sorry. One last thing to say about Richard Schiff in that movie. He has a line delivery that has lived in my head for
Is it
25 years.
Why did he say two teams?
No, but that is also a good one.
that's-
But it's like a similar scene where he's explaining to one of the characters. He's like, "It's a hide. You hide."
Oh yeah, you hide.
Hide.
Yeah.
Ryan, we're back to you. With
Wait, how
your
many
set-
points was Richard Schiff?
Oh, sorry, he was seven points.
Okay.
Before I throw this out, I wanted to shout out another joke like Alex did and say when we talked about the Lego Jurassic movie, I wanted to make a blocking joke, but now it's passed and it's not funny.
Oh no, you still get points for that.
do it.
Hell as hell.
I am that person where I hate the band, but every single time I see Flea on screen, I have to point him out and go, "Oh, there he is!" So Big Lebowski gets a real big point out moment. Yeah, hopefully this is decent.
He's one more point than Peter Stormare would have been for kind of his. I think Flea's a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
Because people might know him as the singer, but they don't know what a big time actor he is. Because I think he's also in.
He's in Baby Driver.
Is he in Baby Driver?
He's an Iron Man, I believe.
He's in a ton of stuff.
I might be confusing him with. It's either him or Anthony, the singer Anthony Kiedis is in this movie. What was the Charlie Sheen, Christy Swanson movie? Was it The Chase or The Getaway or something like that? Where the whole movie is just them in a car. And they're being chased. It must be after the OJ chase that they came up with this idea for this movie, because it's all the different reporters and everything chasing them. And at one point, like Ron Jeremy's in the movie, and they actually end up having not Ron Jeremy, but Charlie Sheen and Christy Swanson have sex while driving, being chased by cops.
Dangerous.
And I was just like, and I think it's either Flea or Anthony Kiedis is in a monster truck trying to knock them off the road. It was very like typical like late 90s just nonsense, right?
I will say that did sound like a Mad Libs built movie.
So 10 points for Flea. You're doing great, Ryan. You've got a decent amount of points already after two cuts. Alex, you get your second and your third.
All right. So sticking with the Big Lebowski, I think one of the other nihilists, if I remember correctly, is Amy Mann.
Yeah, she's like she's friends with the nihilist. She's the one that cuts her toe off.
Yeah.
So they can send it in place of someone else. So she's worth 18 points because she has no.
Oh shit!
Wow.
I mean, she's a singer that most people don't know who she is, even though she is married to. I think she's still married to Michael Penn, brother of Sean and Chris, and of no relation to me.
Is more famous than Michael Penn. One of them did the Magnolia soundtrack, and the other is Michael Penn.
Well, no, Michael Penn did the Magnolia soundtrack and the Boogie Nights soundtrack.
Did he?
He's
is he not
Boogie
an
Nights.
actor? Who is this person?
No, Michael Penn does all the soundtracks for those movies, and he's the guy in Boogie Nights that is doing the mixing for "He Will Rock You," and they're like, "Oh, this is great," and he's like, "Yeah, this is great." That's Michael Penn.
Who am I thinking of? Chris Penn. I'm thinking of Chris Penn.
But Chris Penn's in like
Chris Penn.
He's in Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, I'm like, she's married to Reservoir Dogs. Yeah,
no,
weird.
she's married to Chris Penn.
All right, take it all back.
You've got another one, buddy. What's your third deep cut?
I'm gonna go with. I got a bunch on the list, trying to figure out who's worth more.
No need to show off, buddy.
Reprising his role from the previous film briefly as Richard Attenborough at the beginning of the Lost World Jurassic Park.
Yeah, he's not worth a ton though, Alex. He's 6 points.
All right, well, I'll take it still.
Yeah, you're right. He's, I believe, like kind of on his deathbed, talking to the lead, and then shows up in like a video call or something later on in the movie. Not bad. Ryan, what's your third deep cut?
All right, this is one that I'm going to go out on a limb because I have not seen Billy Madison in a long time. And I can't remember if it's this one or another Adam Sandler movie. I just said a name. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Robert Smigel, I think, is in Billy Madison.
He is. He is a science teacher. I think he gets to like grade 9 or 10.
Damn, I forgot Smigel's in that.
And he's like, this guy's up here trying to teach us about borons.
Yeah.
Borons? What's the deal? That's Robert Smigel. I had to look it up because I was like, I know he's in it, but I kind of confused him with some of the other SNL people that show up in it. Robert Smigel for 16 points.
Well done.
Damn.
Next to him, I just wrote the word borons because we got the hydrofluorins over here, and that's his line essentially. And then Nick, what is your third deep cut? And then I'll give you guys a halfway point breakdown.
All right. Well, I mean, obviously he was a bigger star when he did this, but I'll go with Chris Farley and Billy Madison because it is a small part, but very.
It is as the bus driver.
The bus driver, one of the most like famous of like that Veronica Vaughn. That whole back and forth with him, and he's like, "Good, grand, great, everyone, shut up on the bus."
Chris Farley's worth 10 points. Nick.
Okay,
so yeah, not a like. I mean, hey man, it's same as Steve, so that's a solid cut. Let's see where you are at the halfway point. So you have 30 points plus a potential bonus 1 point sitting there for you, Nick. Ryan, you are at 35, so you're doing well as well. And Alex, you are at 39. So we're within 9 points between first and third. Still lots of game to play. Nick, what's your fourth deep cut?
I will go with because again, in the movie, not a big part, but in The Big Lebowski, the Mr. Lebowski's wife, played by Tara Reid, in one of the funniest, just random, when she just goes, "I'll suck your cock for $1,000," and he's just like, "Well, let me go find an ATM machine." Like Jeff Bridges doesn't get enough credit for how funny that delivery is.
I believe
ATM machine.
Something about she's like, but he has to pay extra if he wants to watch.
Yeah. And we won't say who to in case
we won't say who it is. But yeah, Tara Reid for 8 points.
Okay.
Yes. What was her name? Nikki? Was it Nikki?
No, Bunny.
Bunny.
She's like, when he first sees her, puts her toes in his face. She's like, blow.
Yeah. And this was all before like American Pie.
Right before American Pie, yeah.
Yeah. Like honestly, she might have been better off never doing American Pie movies and just springboarding from Big Lebowski to other kind of like quirky drama comedies, but she kind of got lumped into that.
But then she wouldn't be in Van Wilder.
Or Sharknado.
Yeah, you say that like it's a bad thing. There's so many of those movies.
Mm-hmm. Ryan, we're back to you. You are very close to first place. What is your fourth deep cut?
I feel like this one's not going to be worth much, but as the wonderful narrator that a lot of people forget, I know he's a bigger name, Sam Elliott for The Big Lebowski.
He is. Yeah, he's way down in the credits, but yeah, we kind of all know him as like the mustachioed stranger that rolls into town. Sam Elliott for 9 points.
See, I was going to use Sam Elliott, but I thought he wasn't going to be worth as much.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be worth less. That's a solid pull.
That's good. That's really good.
He's not in it all that much.
No, he's really not. It's just he was a big big enough, but he's really only in those, very beginning and the very end.
Yeah. And hey, man, like I said, I make these points up as I go sometimes, right? You know. Alex, what is your fourth and your fifth deep cuts?
All right, so one from The Lost World. It's always been my touchstone for him because, again, I saw this really early in my life. Pete Postlewaite is in that movie as like the big game expert.
Alex is running on empty here. I can tell. This is nothing wrong.
Not worth very much.
He's not a ton. He's 5 points. Like
All
you
right.
said, he is the big game hunter. He's like kind of the main, not the main baddie, but if anybody can remember who the main baddie is in this movie, good luck. Yeah, there you go. Pete Postlewaite for 5 points. Alex,
All
what's
right.
your 5th deep cut?
So I'm gonna go to your favorite Billy Madison, and if I'm not mistaken, is Norm Macdonald one of his buddies?
Yeah, of course he is. Of course he is. Yeah, he's there when the lead comes back from Nudie Magazine Day, if I'm not mistaken.
Is it like they're always in the pool?
They're always in the pool, and I believe
Yeah.
at one point he looks at the other guy. He's like, "Hey, where's Billy?" I think he went to school.
Yeah, that's just it's just like,
And then at
"Oh,
one point-
yeah.
They play that. What's their game where they throw pickles on the window and they see which pickles slide
They
down
race,
faster? He's like, "Oh, I'm the big winner."
Yeah.
It's the stupidest movie, but much like you seen Jurassic Park at the right age, Alex, I saw Billy Madison when I was 19, so it was the perfect speed for me. So Norm Macdonald gets you 8 points, Alex.
All right, great.
And once again, if you can remember who the other guy is that's their friends,
Oh, that's a tough one.
that's where the points are
He's
at.
in nothing with them
Mhm.
afterwards, so it's like,
Is he?
no, but I mean, like
yeah.
like Sandler's crew. I mean,
Yes. Yeah, he's not one of those guys.
No.
Ryan, you've got your 5th deep cut. There's 6
Once
total.
again, throwing a dart at the board. You mentioned this other movie earlier, and I'm going to pull a classic deep cuts. I don't think I have her first name right, but if I remember right, in The Lost World, there is a young woman that was also in Tremors, and I think her name is Annie Richards.
It's Ariana Richards.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's the girl from the.
And I think that's maybe the reason why we did Tremors and Jurassic Park is because I was like, holy shit, she's the same girl. Like I didn't know
Yep.
that
And then
she's
she was
the
back
little
in Tremors 3 too.
Yeah, she's the little girl on the pogo stick, bouncing around Tremors. Ariana Richards, yeah, she's small part, comes back, sees the lead, they give him a hug. She's worth 11 points.
Very good.
Damn. Okay.
I had her on
Don't
my
worry.
list too, and I'm like, Richard Attenborough will be more. God damn.
Well then,
Why would you think Richard Attenborough would be worth more?
Because I'm an idiot, Jeff. Because
Then
I'm an idiot. Is that what you want me to say?
Then a girl nobody remembered her name.
all right,
Hey,
Jeff.
all right.
I have a
All right,
deep
Nick.
cut for you now. I wonder if you even have this guy on your list.
Ooh,
I
okay.
feel like if you don't, this should be
Hell of a
like worth
challenge.
20 plus points. But
It usually is,
In-
unless I just forgot
in
something.
the Lost World, you said you didn't like the dad who gets eaten trying to run into the building. Well, that
Okay.
is the screenwriter David Koepp
Oh,
who gets eaten by the T-Rex when he's trying to, and they purposely did that so he could get killed in the movie. It was like his
All right.
thing of like, I want to be in the movie, and they just wrote him in. They're like, okay, you're going to be the man who gets eaten trying to get in the building.
All right, so he is not on my list, but let me.
If you're
we
right,
gotta
that's 20 points.
We got to verify though.
While
So-
you look it up, Jeff.
I know this because on my Blu-ray of The Lost World, I have watched the special features multiple times because I am a nerd, and they are like
Nick, what's his name? What's
it's
David
David
Koepp, so
David Koepp.
K-O-E-P-P.
Yeah,
Sorry, say that again, Alex. What's his last name?
K-O-E-P.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
K-O.
he wrote Jurassic
Yeah,
Park.
did the
Lost
screenplay,
World.
and
Yeah.
he is credited as unlucky bastard.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's worth 20 points because that. And I mean, honestly, it'd be one thing if it was a producer or something like that.
No, but it's like that's the actual screenwriter.
Yeah,
Like,
he's the screenwriter, and
like
I don't
he
know
did
this guy.
something for the movie. Not well. I'm going to throw a couple bucks and get my name on
Yeah.
as a producer.
All right, he's 20 points. What's your last deep cut then, smartass? Holy cow!
Yeah, but what triggered it was you mentioning how much you didn't like that death, and I'm like,
I didn't even
and
know
no
that
one
guy was
mentioned it. And I'm
somebody.
like, does anyone know that that's the screenwriter? So
I didn't.
okay, this actor, God, he's been in a lot. So in Billy Madison, I don't remember his name. He is Eric, who's played by the guy from The West Wing. Now I'm forgetting that actor too, but he's his friend who
Yep.
Adam Sandler's nice to, who actually likes Adam Sandler. And I just,
Mhm.
and that guy's been in a billion movies. I, for some reason, am remembering him from Pain and Gain in a quick scene with The Rock, where The Rock beats the living hell out of him for trying to hit on him. I just don't remember that actor's name, but he is like, you see his face, and he also he auditioned for Kramer in Seinfeld when they were doing a show about Seinfeld.
You got it. I was waiting because that's what I had written down. I was gonna look it up.
I just don't remember that actor's name, but like you see his face and you go, I've seen him in things.
But yeah, no, you're right when you said Seinfeld. His name is Larry Hankin.
Yeah.
He is worth 14 points.
Wow.
Because I mean,
Jesus.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody. I'm out.
I still think it's gonna be pretty close.
Yeah, it's still going to, because you guys had
a lead, but this is your chance, Ryan. What do you got left in the tank? This is your final deep cut.
The last one, the last thing that's not crossed out of my paper, I can't remember his full name. It's Matt or Mark or Mike or something like that. In The Big Lebowski, one of the like bad guy whatever dudes. He is the guy, and this is so lucky that I just happened to see Mulholland Drive at the Egyptian Theater in L.A. this last weekend. He is the guy from like the funniest scene in Mulholland Drive where they're inside. Talking about it's where the vacuum cleaner goes off and he shoots the guy who's looking at the little black book, and then the lady in the room next door gets shot, and all of this, it's all that same guy from The Big Lebowski.
All right.
I think it's Matt or Mark something.
I'm gonna look up Mulholland Drive.
Is he one of the guys in the beginning when they jump?
Yeah,
The Big Lebowski. Where is he the one who drops the bowling ball, or the other guy?
Holy shit! That's another double. He's in 2 movies. He's
God.
His name is Mark Pellegrino.
I should know Pellegrino. That's
isn't
one of my
he in
family's
Lost?
last name.
He's in fucking everything.
He's in
like,
everything.
He's a character actor.
He's a deep cuts legend. Like I think he was even in the first few seasons of Dexter. He's Dexter's girlfriend's ex-husband, who Dexter has to kill because he's like a drug dealer or something. So Mark Pellegrino, 10 points for The Big Lebowski, because he drops the bowling ball and he's like, the Lebowski was supposed to be rich or whatever, right? And he's like, yeah.
What is this? You're clearly not a golfer, man.
He is listed as an uncredited tourist.
In what?
In the Lost World. So he's worth 20 points for The Lost World.
Whoa, no! Damn I thought I had it with the David Kemp one. Damn.
So he's good. That's 30 points. Ryan,
I had no idea about Lost World.
You maybe went from having you were worried about having the lowest score to potentially having one of the highest scores at least of this season. So congratulations, well done,
dude. What a pull! Especially because you had no idea he was
literally. If I had not gone and seen Mulholland Drive this last weekend,
would have forgot that guy.
And crap, had you just known his name, maybe Jeff wouldn't have looked up and saw that he was at Jurassic World.
But now I'm worried. I'm like, I got to double check, and I'm like, he is in Mulholland Drive, because I didn't want to give Ryan credit for a guy who he was like, the guy from Mulholland Drive, and I'd be like, but he's not in Mulholland Drive, so I can't.
He plays a pretty big part.
Yeah. Do you know who's in Mulholland Drive? I'm just looking at it right now. Billy Ray Cyrus.
Yep.
I didn't know Billy Ray Cyrus was in Mulholland Drive.
Plays a pretty big part. Yeah.
I wish he was Billy, but he's not. Another guy plays somebody named Billy. He plays a guy named Gene, which doesn't seem right. Alex, it's probably no chance here for you. But what's your final deep cut?
So instead, I'm going to start with the story. When David Kemp released his book Cold Storage, which is pretty good. I think he did like some sort of like a little book tour, but he was in Toronto at the TIFF Lightbox, and he did a long intro to a screening of Jurassic Park, which was then on 35 mil, and then he did like a 1-hour Q&A after, and it was awesome. But I was just trying to fill time because I know I'm not going to win this.
Did you think you were going to think it's something really good?
No, I'm going to, because it's a Spielberg, so I'm going to do Shot in the Dark here, Jeff. Sheb Woolley? Do we got the Wilhelm scream in this?
I don't think it is, Alex. Let me double check.
Sure it was my only. I'm like, it's either that or Bob Balaban, so I'm going to go with Sheb Woolley on this one.
Bob Balaban's not in the movie, Alex.
Well, thank God. I had a question mark after it. In my head, he is.
Who were you thinking he was? Did you think he was the villain?
Potentially.
Because there's like the guy who's like a British guy who's like, I'm going to bring the dinosaurs back like my father couldn't do.
But I don't
feel
like I've seen him in anything else.
Oh, he is in stuff.
Is the villain
I'm
not
sure
the guy from Jumanji?
No.
Oh. See,
no,
I would have pulled the same thing.
Right? It looks like the dad from Jumanji.
No, I think there is a guy at the very beginning where they're on a beach. and their kid, the little girl, and that's what they
Verrill
find it.
was in other
And the
stuff.
little, and the beach dad is Robin Sachs, who I've got down from Galaxy Quest. He's Saris, the villain in Galaxy Quest. He's the dad on the beach, and he does kind of look like the dad and the hunter from Jumanji. Let me double check and see if the Wilhelm screen is down. I don't see it. It's not here, Alex. What I thought you were going to do, though, was just give me Steven Spielberg, because he is credited as a popcorn eating man.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So unfortunately, you're Sheb Woolley.
That's okay. I even if we had it and it was 20, I still don't think it would have put it up.
Would have made a difference.
Since we have Nick on, who seems to be an expert about this movie, maybe you can clear up a rumor about this The Lost World that I've had in my head forever, and you can tell me if it's true. Maybe Ryan knows this too. Apparently, when everybody's running down the street when the T-Rex is coming, there's a Japanese family that is not subtitled, and they say something in their haste. Allegedly, they say, we left Japan to get away from this kind of thing. Is that true? Do you know if that's true?
I don't know if that's true, but I know it's a nod. There's Japanese businessmen running.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a nod to Godzilla. Because this was, Spielberg talked about, in the behind the scenes of it, like, this was his chance to do King Kong and Godzilla. And that's really the only reason why they were like, let's bring them to the U.S. Otherwise, in the book, they never leave the island to go.
Really?
So the book was only written, much like the sequel, because the first one is because Jeff Goldblum dies at the Malcolm is dead at the end of Jurassic Park. He bleeds to death, and they're like at the very end when Gennaro, who's the lawyer, is actually a way different character. Hammond's a piece of shit and he gets killed. And they're rescued at the end, and they're like, what happened to Malcolm? And they're like, he didn't make it. And you're like, oh. And then when they found out they were doing a sequel, and they're like, you have to write the book. You have to write the book. And he goes, well, who are you putting in the movie? They're like, we're gonna have Jeff Goldblum in the movie.
He's like, he bled to death.
Well, now all of a sudden it turns out we were able to rush him to the hospital, and Eddie's death is so lame in the book. At least Eddie's death, Richard Schiff's character in the movie, even though he's done dirty, at least it's memorable. He falls out of the hide in the book and gets eaten by raptors, and the last thing he yells is no, and hits the ground, and then he tear him apart. And that's his death. And I go, at least his death in this one was heroic. But
he was saving them. Yeah.
The second book's not as good. Now I listened to them on audio because it's a long read. So, but yeah, it's pretty wild. The second book clearly felt like a book where they're like, crap, we have to get this out before the movie. So just write us something. And they're like, oh, we'll bring back Ian Malcolm, and we'll there's some stuff in the movie, but yeah, it's a lot different.
Let's see. Who did you miss here from Jurassic Park: The Lost World? So the big villain is an actor named Arliss Howard, who it's funny that you mentioned Full Metal Jacket, Alex, because he is one of the guys in Full Metal Jacket. That's literally what I have written down for him.
That's a fact I know.
Vince Vaughn, but he was
Vince Vaughn. Yeah, he wasn't going to be a lot of points. Ariana Richards' brother, Joseph Mazzello, who, if I'm not mistaken, is in the Pacific. The
kid who plays Tim in the first movie.
Yeah, he comes back for the second one.
Sure.
Yeah. Ian Abercrombie, not a big, well-known actor, but we would also know him from Seinfeld as Mr. Pibb, who was Elaine's boss, who got to go to the big he was in the parade with. He's like, the Mr. Pibb, and he got obsessed with
Stop
the
saying Mr.
painting.
Pibb to us, Jeff.
Come on, you guys know Mr. Pibb.
Billy Brown, who was in How to Get Away with Murder. Eli Roth is in the subway at the very beginning.
Oh yeah,
with Jeff Goldblum.
Shit,
is he the guy who's talking to him in the subway?
No,
he's in the subway.
No lines. He's standing against the door when you go, and you're like, that's Eli Roth. If you don't know he's in it, you wouldn't know. But because I had it down on my sheet,
that just to check that.
Same.
So, I did not know he was in even an extra in that.
Yeah.
Damn, what a pull that would have been. Crap.
Big Lebowski. Obviously, we said his name many times, but Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, Philip Seymour Hoffman, we kind of alluded to. But,
what would he have been worth? I'm curious.
Philip Seymour's only 5.
Okay, because I was like, he was in so much before that movie, but he wasn't a star. He just was in 1,000 things, though.
Right.
David Huddleston as the older Lebowski. You would know him from Blazing Saddles. The other Nihilist is an actor named Torsten Vogt, who, Alex, you may know him from Funny People with Adam Sandler as the doctor.
Oh, the one who keeps saying is in Die Hard, which he's not.
Yeah,
he's not, and he's also in one of my favorite Nicolas Cage movies, 8mm, as one of the guys who's selling the snuff film.
What would have Lebowski's landlord been? Because he's in a bunch of stuff. Never as a big actor, but
his name's Jack Keller. He's like 14 points. I think his big thing is like Men in Black 2.
Men in Black 2. I remember him being in a movie called Big Trouble with like Tim Allen and Rene Russo, and like there's like a lot of people. It was like a Get Shorty, but with a way less like famous cast. But
I remember the poster.
Yeah. Like it was one of those like 10 years after Get Shorty, like in the early 2000s. They're like, oh, we'll throw a bunch of like decent name, and Dennis Farina, that's his partner in that movie.
Is in it. So. John Turturro, obviously. One of the cops. There's a cop who I can't remember. There's two cops, but one of them is an actor named Christian Clemson. Alex. He was in the movie Bad Influence with James Spader and Rob Lowe. He plays James Spader's brother. He kind of looks like David Hyde Pierce a little bit.
He's in Boston Legal. He's in Boston Legal. He's Jerry Espenson with and he's got OCD for like 5 seasons of Boston Legal with James Spader.
Famous British actor David Thewlis is in it as Julianne Moore's like friend who's always giggling. That guy. And yeah, that's about it from that. So Billy Madison, other notable Saturday Night Live people. We had Tim Herlihy, who is the father of the other Herlihy kid that's on Saturday Night Live now. James Downey, who's the principal, is also a Saturday Night Live guy. The other guy who's friends with Norm Macdonald and Adam Sandler, his name is Mark Boltzmann, and you would maybe know him from The Wedding Singer as the guy that he's selling the tickets. He's like, I like Flock of Seagulls, and they're like, oh, I could never tell.
Oh, okay, because I'm like, what is he in The Wedding Singer?
That's about it. He's just at the airport.
Do you have the one teenager he talks to where he's like, you shoved a parking cone up my ass? Because I felt like he was in a lot, but I couldn't pull him.
If it's the guy I'm thinking of, it's an actor named Matthew Ferguson who was in a Canadian TV show called La Femme Nikita. And then he might also be the guy who's like says to Bradley Whitford, he's like, he's got weird balls.
No, not that guy, but it's his friend.
Okay,
but it's the other nerd, and I remember him being in an episode of like X-Files. He was like he was like a TV actor and like it, but he was. That scene always just made me laugh when they're talking to him. He's just like, yeah, he shoved a parking cone up my ass. And I'm like, a parking cone? That's insane.
I love that we've almost quoted 2 full movies tonight.
Yes. Oh, I could do Billy Madison from start to finish, probably.
Jeff, you did do Billy Madison start to finish. When we were at lunch one day, so much so that I'm like, you know what? Lend me that movie. That sounds great. And then I watched like,
did you have who played the
version
clown?
Was better.
Who I did have the clown. The clown's really nobody. I kind of looked at him, but he wasn't notable enough. But the principal of the elementary school is an actor named Josh Mostel. Was also in Big Daddy as the
the principal. He's the guy who comes and takes the kid.
In Big Daddy. But what I learned about him, though, and I should have known, is that his dad was a very famous actor named Zero Mostel.
From the original producers.
From the producers,
and was movies,
and was the voice of one of my favorite animated films, Watership Down, as Kahar, the seagull. So
great making of the producers is a great. I have that on like when it first came out on DVD. Back when DVDs would give you 35 hours of extra features, and there's like a 2-hour long documentary about like how they made that movie, which is pretty good.
All right, let's do up the points here. Alex, I'm going to do you first because I think your Sheb Woolley 0 might have put you into third place, my friend. You had 39 at the halfway point. You picked up 13 points in the second half. Gives you a respectable 52 points. Ryan, you were in second place with 35 points at the half. You picked up 50 points in the second half, thanks to your 30. Well, your 30 Mark Pellegrino.
Oh, I didn't even know he was in 2 of them.
Yeah.
He was in 20 and 10. So that's 30. That's 50 points. So 85. I think that might be our highest score for
this
season
for sure.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Now, Nick, you were making some big grounds here. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though. You had 30 at the half, and you picked up 42 in the second half. Very, very respectable 72 points.
That was good. When you went, oh my god, he's also in Jurassic or Lost World. I'm like, and I lost because now like, crap. So were those all the crossovers, or did we miss
that you got all of them?
Wow.
You got all of them. Yeah, that was a lot. Sometimes we have none, but that one just happened to be. Yeah, and it wasn't even like on purpose. It was just like, oh well, Julianne Moore's in this, and then I was like, oh, Mark Pellegrino as well, and Peter Stormare. And then I was like, all right, well, I'll take someone from this, and that was Steve Buscemi. So, or Buscemi.
I've heard it say both ways.
I've heard him
call him Buscemi, but then someone said it like on SNL. He was on. I'm like, oh, I guess I've been saying it wrong.
We'll just call him Stevie B. Like we're all best friends.
Stevie B. Yeah.
Ryan, as the big winner, you get to suggest a future guest for the show. It could be someone you know. It could be somebody you think would just be good at this game. It could be a famous celebrity that we will never get. I'm willing to try to get anyone on the show. So who do you think would be a fun person to play Deep Cuts the game?
So I apologize to do this to you in advance, but this gentleman has done my show. However, it was before this year where his life exploded. I would suggest that you go after the one and only Mr. Sean Baker. Sean was a guest on my show, and he knows physical media, knows movies better than almost anybody I know. He's a friend, and I think he would crush on that show.
Awesome.
In that case, pass. Give us someone who's going to do medium that I will beat a little bit.
Well, that'll be fun. I will try. So, Ryan, where can people find the multitude of things that you've got going on?
Pretty much everything. Go to someone'sfavoriteproductions.com. You'll find I didn't even mention earlier, I run a podcast network. We've got like 24 different shows. You can find all those there. You can find all the physical releases we've been on, all the copies of the magazine, everything listed there. And then the other big thing, I've been talking about it all night. I love physical media. So everywhere under the name The Disc Connected as well.
Awesome. And I will do my best to add links to our show when I post this in a week. Thank you very much for coming out. Nick, where can people find the Nickflix podcast?
Yes, Apple, Spotify, and I believe I'm on like Amazon as well, but mainly Apple and Spotify. And then if you want to follow me on Twitter or X, whatever you like to call it, and the same thing with Blue Sky and Instagram, it's just Nickflix Pod. So yeah, always if you want to talk movies, you guys were on for the Alien, which was one of my like best received episodes, and I was like, well, yeah, because the three of us just talked randomly. We tried to stay on topic, but
it was funny at the beginning of that show. We're like, I don't know if we can talk for an hour about these movies, and then we got to an hour.
We ran out of time.
We're like, I think we need to shut up because we have not really
like how the sausage is made of doing a podcast. I feel like once I get to the 20-minute mark, we'll have nothing left, and then all of a sudden I blink and I'm like, oh my God, we're at an hour. Like I need to wrap. Like I try to keep it in that frame, and I'm like, but I always think that no matter how good the guest is, I'm like, we're not going to get an hour. We're not going to get 45 minutes. And then like we blow past it, and I'm like, crap, let's wrap it up, guys.
Yeah, we got to it. Was like, okay, so Prometheus, and it's like, yeah, it was pretty neat. I think we should just move on now. We spent too much time talking about the Alien versus Predator movies.
Yes,
but yeah, no, it's always fun. So check out the Nickflix podcast everywhere. Alex.
Where do I begin, Jeff? I mean, no, especially following these two guys who got so much going on. I just support your local cinema, support your local video store if you're lucky enough to live near one. Also, all the rep cinemas in your area will probably be doing screenings of the Academy Awards, and that's a really fun time. Typically, it's a free event. You can go buy popcorn and drinks, hang out with like-minded people. That's always fun. I know the Fox and the Review do it in Toronto, and I bet a lot of theaters do it, and you should check that out.
Cool. Alex, do you have an outro for me tonight?
I do have an outro for you, Jeff. So I'm sending it to you right now. And I'm tying it into my Legend of the Stardust Brothers. So I'm going to have you sing in Japanese. I'm not, but that would have been awesome. No, I'm going to have you do it like a mid-80s shock jock DJ, like Drive Time. You know the kind. Not like Casey Kasem, but give me the ones that are like the worst.
Okay, I think I can do that.
All right.
All right. I don't know what the words are that you've written. That's my only issue.
Miscreants is one of them.
So you want kind of like a Johnny Fever, but like a little more 80s.
Guy, I don't know what that reference is. Come on.
WKRP in
I'm
Cincinnati,
like
man.
half your age.
You literally wrote Howard Hessman's name into an outro like 2 weeks ago.
I did do that.
Yeah.
I contain multitudes, man. I don't have to tell you.
All right. Now, please remember, everyone, I'm doing this on the fly, reading this for the first time ever. So,
All right, you degenerate listeners, that's all the time we have for today. Remember, keep it sleazy and keep it real. Big shout out to our guests Nick and Ryan and my producer / co-host for keeping the CRTC off my back. Party with us again next week and keep those phone lines buzzing on all social media platforms. Until then, stay dangerous, or at least mildly disruptive. This is Jeff the Golden Boy signing off. Peace out, you magnificent miscreants.
thanks very much, everyone. We'll see you next week. And record.